How is the sprocket?
Yeah, it's just pretty good. And we are live. Maybe we're
What's the happy
live.
apps? We are live. Is this
Yeah,
tried
sure.
and
It's
tested?
it's not saying we're live, but I'm hoping we're live. Now it's saying we're live.
Do we know? Do we know what's going
I'm
on?
checking. We're probably going out live right now, looking like buffoons talking.
Talking gibberish.
It's alright. I just want to check the sound anyway. Yeah, it started live, but we are live
Pro-
now. Welcome back to Aussies taking over the NBA. It's still early in the season. It's a Monday night. What better thing to do to come along and listen to us do our overreactions pod? We're kind of just splicing this one in with our over unders from last season. We did that whole over unders thing. This year, we're just going to do some overreactions on the season so far. Can we overreact yet? And I definitely think we can because there's a lot of shit happening in the NBA at the moment. Andy, how are you, mate?
Good mate. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Feeling good. Struggle to watch the Warriors at the moment. So
Oh, it's a bit rough, isn't it, mate? You've just gone from the peak of heights of high to the just this is just trash.
yeah, it sucks. I made the comment to you like watching the highlights. I used to love watching the highlights packages on the top of my Facebook every time. It'd be like Clay and Steph and Draymond with defense. Now it's like Marquise Chris did a dunk. It's like, ugh, great. Yeah, Willie
It,
Cauley Stein's been awful as well. So that's a bit of
it's
a yeah.
terrible. Yeah, I you don't get two guys that can't play the elbow in a team that needs an elbow player these days because Draymond's not an elbow player. So you kind of need an elbow big, and they haven't really picked anyone because they're so strapped for. Although they paid Willie Cauley like 5 mil, it's just like,
Yeah, that's not exorbitant amounts of money.
wouldn't you?
Kevon Looney got five as well, and he's been injured.
He's decent, and
But when
yeah,
he's
I don't.
healthy, I mean, he's been injured the last couple of years at various points, important points of the season.
I think season. Let's start with the
Yeah,
bottom.
we'll start with the Warriors. I think we'll do all the way up the west, and then we'll do all the way up the east. But as always, you can like, share, and subscribe. What am I doing this way here? Up the right hand side of me, Aussie Steord underneath. Aussie's taking over the NBA on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, Podcast Addict, and on SoundCloud. Now with that out of the way, yeah, we'll start with the Warriors. What can we overreact about the Warriors?
I think we could overreact that Draymond Green was worth that extension. I think that's really did Clay and Steph and KD make Draymond look better than he actually is in a team? How do you feel about that being a Warriors fan?
I don't agree. I still think he's an awesome player, but it's one of the biggest things is like if you unwind that Durant from the top, like the way Durant fit this team from the top, it's like he was a 1 through 5 defender and a shot blocker, not an elite shot blocker, but good enough to kind of get away with a multifaceted sort of player there. And then Draymond Green could guard all the positions, and then you had Iguodala, who was a great defender coming off the bench, and you had Clay there. It was all these crazy players that were doing these weird things that made this team really good. Like they were all really good scorers, really good defenders, except like Steph was, a trier. But it's like now you take one piece away and suddenly, Draymond doesn't have that skill of defending as a small guy. Plus the league's gotten a little bit better. It's a little bit different. And then you take Clay out of that and then the whole thing falls apart because it's Clay, man. He's one of the best defenders in the league, if not, the best defender over the last 3 or 4 years. But yeah, man, I don't really agree with that. But if you look at the Warriors are pretty clearly tanking. If you look at Draymond Green, it's like, what incentive really is there for him to be great now? They won their championships. They all got paid. So it's kind of like they're just living their best life. And,
Yeah, I think for
that's,
Draymond though, it's a kind of an ego thing. He doesn't create that all star. He's not up there. He can't really trash talk anyone anymore. And it's kind of like, does he just fade into oblivion if Steph and Clay don't come back at 100% and they get old and this Warriors team just fades into oblivion? So is it time to overreact yet? Have we seen the last of the Warriors for the next kind of 5 years?
well, I think,
That's
yeah, I don't think that's an overreaction. I think it's just straight up. You won't be seeing them make any finals in the next 4 or 5 years. And again, it goes back to how you hamstrung your team with these max deals, man. Like one max deal is probably enough. And then once you keep piling these max deals in there, that's when your cap space just gets obliterated. And if your owner doesn't want to pay the luxury tax, the biggest thing is like they were paying massive amounts of luxury tax because it's like, yeah, we've got a shot at winning every year. Now it's like they've got to clear the decks because it's like, we're not going to win. We're not going to do anything. We're just paying insane amounts of tax. They've just built that new arena. Man, just straight into a brick wall, and it's like, it's all over. It's just brutal. It's hard to watch, man. It's hard to see. Few of the, some of the nicest guys like in Steph and Clay. It's just Clay's like my spirit animal, man. Like doesn't trash talk. Just pure basketball spirit. Never like no one ever says a bad word about him, and he's the guy that gets the the season-ending injury right at the peak of his career. I just feel heaps bad for him. We move on to the Portland Trailblazers.
This is an interesting one.
Holy moly, I did not see this coming. They started 5-12, 29% win percentage, just stone bottom of the West rather. Man,
this is a question I will pose to you. Will Damian Lillard go down as the most overrated supermax player in history?
Yeah, maybe. But at the same time, he's in the perfect era now where it doesn't matter if he is overrated. Like his legacy kind of speaks. He's got a pretty good legacy anyway. Like he nearly made a finals once. Everyone respects how good he is. He's not like an unlikable character. So I don't think it's going to really matter for him. But in terms of winning things, man, this Trailblazers team went from the conference finals last year to this year, and even the year before they got smashed against the Pelicans, where I remember at the start of that year we were like, oh, this could go either way. Terry Stotts, man, he's got some work to do, and then they ended up having a really good year. This season, man, with the injuries, and I don't think you could get a sizable combo out of Lillard and McCollum really at an elite level if you don't have those bigs that are healthy, and that's kind of been their biggest thing. Their bigs are not healthy at all this season.
Was the Carmelo Anthony decent signing, or you think that was just? I mean, they're getting him for $50,000 this season.
Oh, sure, yeah, have him for whatever, man. Like, if you're a team that wants to just toss the ball to someone and shoot it in, like, sweet, no worries. If you're a team like a Houston, obviously, Houston was the team he played for last season, where 13 games in, they were just like, and it's not working. See you later, thanks. Like, that's where the ruthlessness comes in. But for a team like Portland that started 5-12, I'm like, yeah, whatever, man. Like, bring Carmelo in. You need a scorer. You need another wing player. He doesn't play defense, man. Whatever. I would have taken him on the Warriors. That would have been interesting to see him on the Warriors, where they're just like, yeah, sure, man. Just have a wing position and just try and get some buckets. But yeah, man. Can we overreact? I don't think Portland's going to make the playoffs, eh?
Look. With Zach Collins out for 3 months, they're missing a big. Like, their big is
and
just...
Nurkic as well. And then
Nurkic won't play this year.
Yeah.
He's already been ruled out for this year.
Oh, man, I still remember when he broke his ankle in the playoffs last season. It was just like, brutal.
I don't know. I think they're probably a 20% chance of making the playoffs. I think it's the season. They're about 15 games in.
They just lost to the Cavs, man. Jeez.
They lost to the Cavs, and no Kevin Love. No Kevin Love Cavs.
Ugh. So they beat the Spurs. That was just a weird win out of nowhere. And then obviously they lost to the Kings and the Raptors. They beat the Spurs and then lost to the Rockets, Pels, Bucks on the bounce, and then the Cavs. I think that was yesterday. They lost to Jesus. I don't know, man. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. No. Cross them off, I think.
Well, goes to the next one. I think is San Antonio next.
Nah, OKC's next, 5-10. What can we overact about?
There's no overreactions here. I think they kind of sit right where they need to be. I mean, they got a good win against Philly. They seem to be taking teams to the end of the fourth. They don't seem to be just getting blown out, but probably just lack a quality wing shooter. Gallinari's not bad. Chris Paul, Dennis Schroeder, Steven Adams, but they're just probably lacking one wing shooter to get them up to that kind of 500 range. I think they're sitting right where they would be. I think they'll probably come up to 10th or 11th in the West, and just kind of vegetate there for the rest of the season.
It kind of depends what they're going to do with Chris Paul, really. You know what I mean? Like,
they're going to move him on. It's the kind of sensible thing to do.
But who's going to take him though? Like,
Heat.
The Heat 38 this year, 40 next year, and then 42 I think the year after that. Like that's just a roster nuke, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't think you could do it. If you're a GM, would you? I'd just be like, absolutely not.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone in the league, and they can't buy him out, so he'll be at OKC for a
I
few years
know.
to come.
And then they've just done all this crazy amount of tanking for picks and stuff like that. It's kind of they're stuck in a little bit of a do we tank or do we not tank type of thing. And I think Chris Paul's mentality is that he's not going to play for a tanking team, man. It's Chris Paul, you know.
Yeah,
But I like Gilgeous-Alexander, and T. Ferg's been pretty good.
yeah, they've all been pretty
And I've
good.
always liked Steven Adams. Steven Adams is only 26, but it's just Steven Adams is there's something there where you're just like, there's something not, you know, something just there that doesn't quite add up. Like when he was there with Westbrook, I always had heaps of respect for him. The way in his game, he's got a pretty solid inside game, floaters and stuff like that. But there's always something there where you're just like, something's not right. Not what it is.
He doesn't have the Mamba mentality. I don't think he's just kind of he just plods. I would say that he's a plodder. Like he's not aggressive. He doesn't talk trash. He's just kind of he's a nice guy. Just plays game.
Yeah, he's like a bit peripheral, Yeah.
Yeah, just not really dominant in this game at all, which he could be because he's a fucking beast.
Yeah, he's a man. I really like him, but yeah, there's just always been something there where you're just like, something's all right, man. I don't know what it is. But then it was clearly Westbrook before, where you just like he'd just stand there and then Westbrook would just be like, shoot it, and he'd be like, okay, sweet, that's good offense, you know. We'll move to the Memphis Grizzlies. What can we overreact about the Grizzlies?
Nothing. They're trash.
Yeah.
You can underreact there. They you'd have to say that they're probably going to sit above the Warriors long term. They're just one injury away from just completely falling apart. Such a bad franchise.
Has Iggy played at all for him yet?
No, he won't play. He refuses to play. So they're going to... all the GMs are trying to get him away from the Lakers because if he goes to the Lakers...
it's over.
So it's pretty much over because postseason Iggy just defense. It's that team is just over.
Although he was slowing down a little bit. He slowed down a little bit towards the end of last season.
Slowed down, but you know, just in those crunch moments, can hit that crunch three, can defend
And then he had a few like just, you got a little bit injured, you know, and that was like, oh well, he's kind of no point playing him then type of thing. That's where like his effectiveness just disappeared completely.
But he's a postseason player.
Yeah, he's 35. Man, if he goes to the Lakers, geez, we'll get to that. Yeah, but this team has like Jay Crowder, Kyle Anderson from the Spurs a couple of years ago. Grayson Allen, I didn't realize he was there.
He got traded with a Conley trade.
Crazy. Yeah, Ja Morant and
Ja Morant, it looks like a decent prospect, man. I think probably one of the top three rookies of this kind of draft year. But again, it's kind of like that LaMelo Ball and the Illawarra Hawks. It's like, yeah, when you're playing with turds, then you kind of look like a diamond. So if you can kind of do a bit of everything in hoop, playing with a team like that, you're like, yep, you're going to look really good. So that could...
What have we got then? What have we got for the Grizzlies? What can we overreact?
I think we can overreact on anything. I just think that they'll be second off from the bottom come the end of the season.
Yeah, I think the Warriors are definitely... It's not an overreaction. The Warriors are going to be dead last, man. They can't even win games. Like, it's not even like, yeah, man, we're tanking. Yep. He's just like, you can't even win even if you wanted to.
They literally have a roster that's worth like $6 million. It's like, you cannot win a game.
No,
it'll just be
the next one. Sorry, yeah.
It'll be the D'Angelo Russell kind of just ball fest when he's playing.
Injured. He's busted his hand, and I think he'll be out for a month.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, Spurs, man. What have we got for the Spurs? Can we overreact, man? I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I think this might be the year.
I think you could be right. They look
just
terrible.
like it's so disrespectful, but it kind of looks like Pop's coaching them like he's getting dementia and being like old Gran Torino. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not changing. No. And it's just like, bruh, like, just adapt a little bit. And again, I always say, like, we do a lot of game wrap-ups. They're good to watch for about 10 minutes until you're just like, it's the same thing over and over. Like, and he goes up and LaMarcus misses, and he goes up, DeRozan drives, misses, and drives and makes it. Patty comes a curl, hits it. Patty misses it. It's just the same thing all the time, man. It's just, it's so grey. It's just such grey basketball.
It's kind of that, like, yeah, when you had Ginobili, Duncan, and Parker and Mills and Kawhi, you're just like, yeah, this is a formula. But Trey Lyles is trash. Jakob Poeltl is just trash.
Yeah.
And so, like, they've got good position players 1 through 4, and they've got some good deep bench. Rudy Gay's good bench. Bellinelli's probably in the twilight of his career. I don't think he's going to do much after this year. Patty Mills is still playing pretty well.
Yeah,
Bryn Forbes, John T. Murray, they're all playing well. They just really lack a center that can do anything. Like, Trey Lyles can't defend. Jakob Poeltl can't defend, but then they can't score as well. It's like,
yeah.
this is just bad. Like, and then they flick LaMarcus to 5, and then any big just feasts on him. And he's got 3 fouls and yanked in the second quarter, and it's like, well, there goes their scoring option. It's just, yeah. And DeRozan has just not elevated his game at all. At all. It's just the same game for like 5 years.
Yeah, it is. I fully thought that the Spurs system would, I wanted to see this in the Spurs system. I think Greg Popovich could have got like a lot more out of him, but it's like the same. It's the same thing as Toronto, basically, with a supporting cast where you're like, and they don't want to shoot threes, and you're just like, why, man? Why? Don't understand. Yeah. But what? So the overreaction for the Spurs is they're not going to make the playoffs?
I don't think they are.
It's just such a gamble, man. It's still such a gamble to be like, the Spurs aren't making the playoffs, man.
You just think that the top 8 is pretty solid. I mean, the Spurs are in the East, and yeah, they're making the playoffs, but just in the West, it's going to be hard to come up against the Lakers 4 times, the Clippers 4 times, the Jazz 4 times. Like, it's just, yeah, it's just taking L's left, right, and center.
They're just taking some weird L's too. Like, it's not even... it's not even structured, and you're just like, oh, right, yeah, understandable. Some big games that took some L's. Like, these are just like crazy bad L's.
The funniest L's are yet to come. I think the Mavs have got the funniest L's of this year. Back-to-back losses to the Knicks.
Yeah, but they're also, sitting in 4th at 11-5, and we'll get to them. So we'll go on to the Pelicans now. Quietly, like, they want to do something. Like, they want to be a team that goes in towards the finals. But at the same time, like, it's not...
Zion, like, they're already like, let's trade Redick. Let's get rid of Lonzo.
Dude, he looks like he slowed down heaps. I was watching him the other morning against the Suns.
He slowed down. He slowed down last year. But what you don't realize is when you play in a team with Ben Simmons, who attracts defenders left, right, and center, all you have to do is trail behind him and shoot. So all you're doing is going from arc to arc instead of paint to paint. And so he looked good because, one, he's just running from arc to arc, shooting the ball and defending the perimeter, which he didn't do too well. But Lonzo doesn't get you that open shots. Like, he kind of is that perimeter facilitator, whereas Ben Simmons will just drive into the paint, look for Redick, and Redick and Embiid had that 2-man game. You've got one of the widest screeners in the NBA where you could just come around the curl. There's no one on the Pelicans that can set a screen for him. So it's just like his whole game is just null void. It's completely useless at the Pelicans. I don't know why they signed him. I have a feeling that we'll be seeing him in different colors before the end of the year.
Did they sign him?
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, they did too. Yeah, that's right. He took the money, to leave Philly.
Well, apparently he didn't take the money to leave Philly. He asked for a pay card, but I think they're just like, yeah, you get too old, buddy. We want a big team, and you're just not part of this. And I think Philly actually need him off the bench just to dial up offense. But
maybe he didn't want to take a bench role or something like that. No,
I don't know. No, I think he would have taken a bench role because he took the bench role to start last year when Fultz was starting. So it's kind of like he's not. I don't think ego is part of JJ Redick's curriculum. I just think that maybe his time at Philly was done, and that was it. But Zion's out for another 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Pels are not going to make the finals. They're not going to.
No, I don't think that's an overreaction.
I think an overreaction as Zion comes back and is just, magical.
I don't know, man. My overreactions, dude. It's not like it's mad when you watch him and how good his footwork is. Like, his footwork is so elite. Like, in those summer league games, just watching him, like, have his feet already set and then just be like, oh, I'm already here. 1, 2, bang, and dunk. Like, it makes you go, oh, wow. But at the same time, like, watching him in other aspects, you're just like, hey, over here. And you're like, ooh, I didn't like that. But obviously, first season type of thing. That's a worry, man. But yeah, I don't know, man. My overreaction's like, I don't know if he's going to be that good.
Yeah,
Don't know.
it's an unknown. It's an unknown, especially on that team, which is just yeah. Brandon Ingram's been playing really well though.
Yeah.
I think that he's probably the shining light in this, where we really haven't seen much. Jackson Hayes not bad as well.
Dude, he's a beast, man. He's only 19.
Yeah. So they're a team
Absolute
for,
beast, man.
but if you can imagine if Anthony Davis stayed there
Oh.
with Zion, it would have been just hilarity.
But it's like,
Small market team.
that's a logical fallacy too, because then you're like, this team is weird because it's got like Lonzo Ball and Josh Hart on it. And then like Favors, like you probably wouldn't have gotten Favors if you didn't make that big trade for Davis to get Davis out, and then like Darius Miller and Okafor. It's just a bit of a weird team. And without Zion, I don't know, man. Hard to watch.
Yeah, I see them definitely finishing in the bottom five.
There it is. Sacramento quietly started awful, and we were making some jokes about them. Then they've just crept up to 7 and 8, just outside the top 8. Not bad.
Crept up. I think they did this last year as well. They got some good wins. They played at some pace, and then they just kind of fell into oblivion. Like you're in the West. You can't make the finals with 36 wins or 37 wins like Detroit. You've got to get to 500, and I just don't think it's a 500 team.
I think last year it was kind of like if they had continued on the weirdest thing was, why did they sack Dave Yeager?
I don't know.
I don't understand, and I haven't looked into it. So like, it wasn't like they didn't get along, or there was a legitimate issue. So I haven't really looked into it. I haven't dug deep into it, but that was like a style on the rise where it's just like, wow, the league hasn't seen this before. Like 5 dudes who are just crazy fast and have teams like going like, oh, I can't keep up. Like, holy moly. Like, it was something that the league hasn't seen before. Obviously, they didn't make the playoffs in the end, and it kind of died when Marvin Bagley got injured. But it still was something where it's like, oh, if you add another couple of speedsters to this team, like, this could be something interesting. And then they add Luke Walton, and Luke Walton's a very, Kerr Popovich style playbook. A lot of ball movement, a lot of like high IQ stuff. I don't know, man. Just
don't think it fits. But I mean, De'Aaron Fox has been injured as well, and they've been putting wins on the board without De'Aaron Fox. I think once he comes back, it's going to be good to see. But a lot of their players are just not robust. Like they're always injured. They're just a couple of games here, a couple of games there, and then there's just no cohesion in the team, and they get some bad losses, and then some weird wins. And look, there's no overreactions with teams. I think it's pretty standard. They'll finish just outside the top 8 again.
Yeah, they've got Harrison Barnes. I didn't even realize Harrison Barnes went there. I forgot about that.
It's just like, it's a bad concept.
And then Ariza is there. Yogi Farrell's still there. Bogdanovic, Bielitsa. Corey Joseph. Remember watching Corey Joseph for Canada and being like, why are you hogging the ball, man? That's crazy. But yeah, we'll move on to getting into the top 8, current top 8 at 500, 8 and 8, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who they have a team where you're like, hey, not a bad team. This could be a good team. And then you kind of watch them and you're just like, why aren't you a good team? Don't understand why you're not a good team.
They're a point guard away from being a top 4 team. They just do not have an elite point guard.
Yeah, that's true. They're very true. Jeff Teague is their point guard. Shabazz Napier off the bench. Yeah.
Andrew Wiggins has been having a great season. Tolliver's been playing well. Karl Anthony Towns has been playing well. They just don't have an elite point guard. And this is a system where you get an elite point guard. I think they're looking to trade for D'Angelo Russell, but you trade Wiggins and then that kind of just gets out of whack, and you're still lacking that elite big 3.
I like Towns, but do we overreact and say Towns, we don't like
center
Towns?
In the NBA?
Nah, I can't do that. I'm not doing that. But I don't know about Towns, man.
I think overreaction is Wiggins makes All-Star this year.
Because he's been pretty good, eh?
Yeah.
No? Yeah?
Yeah. Yep.
He's added the 3 ball to his game. I don't know. Some of these guys where, like, you listen to the media and these guy analysts, and they're like, if he just does these 2 things, he'll be a great player. Like, he'll be an excellent NBA player. And then, like, that next year, you're just like, Why don't you just do these two? They're telling you to do these two things. Why don't you just do them? And then they don't do it, and you're just like, I don't understand why you can't just evolve your game. Like, what? And Wiggins was a lot like that. He was addicted to mid-range jumpers. Sometimes it was good to watch. Like, sometimes he'd get in there and he scored the ball, but a lot of the time it was a lot of missing shots and taking bad shots and stuff like that. But this year seems to be like he's like, all right, I get it. I'm just not going to take that many bad shots and, try and actually play properly, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I just say that the Timberwolves make the top 8 this year. I think they've got a good enough team, but yeah, if they can somehow wiggle an elite point guard on that team, top 4.
So last year, did they make the playoffs? No, they didn't. No. Yeah, man. Do we overreact and say they're not going to make the playoffs? No, or is it an overreaction to say they're going to make the playoffs?
I think it's an overreaction to say they don't make the playoffs.
There you go, eh? Yeah, fair enough. I think that leads... Sorry, yeah.
I just don't see that anyone under them is going to really get to where they need to be.
The only one really is the Spurs, where you're like just hanging on for grim dear life that they're just going to, rattle off 5 games straight, 6 games straight, take them back into, 500, and then it's like, oh, look, the Spurs are back, everyone.
And they're out the first round again.
Yeah, and we're moving to the Suns, the crazy start that the Suns had, and then just quietly they've just gone back to 8-8, 500. Bainesy with an injury.
Yeah, hip contusion.
Yeah.
Hip contusion, or just being a jarred hip. Yeah, no big balls, Baines banging buckets, and it's all over.
Yeah, man. Like, it's so weird to say that, and then it's a little bit of an overreaction to be like, man, Baines makes this team tick. But at the same time, man, he was just living his best life, playing hard ball, and it was like, this is exactly what he's there for. Like, I love it. It's great.
It's great to watch. It's fun team to watch when Baines is on the floor. Yeah, they're missing 2 bigs. They're down to their third string big. He's really a power forward. He's not really a 5. He's kind of like an oversized 4, and it's a struggle. So DeAndre Ayton's out for another 15 games, I think, 15 or 16 games. Hopefully Baines makes it back soon. But I mean, they've cooled off. They're at 8-7 now.
8-8, yeah.
8-8, so they're at 500. Look, the overreaction is they don't make the playoffs. I think they're a good enough team to make the playoffs. I think that we were a little bit hesitant early on in the season, but
that's being generous. I think we just flat out panned them and just like, excuse me, 38 wins, no chance.
Yeah, but you just don't know. Booker gets cold, Kelly Oubre gets cold, Ricky Rubio's injured, and then just like, well, this team's bye.
It doesn't have it doesn't have projection to it. Like, you're not sitting there watching going, right, this is the gate we're going to see this team go through, then they're going to go through this gate, and then that's when they make the playoffs, and that's when it all just starts happening for this team. It still has a few things where you're just like, man, I don't know if I really trust Devin Booker and Kelly Oubre in crunch time, and Bainesy plays well for 15 games and gets injured, and it's kind of like the last 2 seasons the same thing sort of happened to him. We want him back, and admittedly this isn't a rhythm injury like it was. He copped a knee to the hip basically. Yeah. So it's not like a oh no, that calf's gone again, he's gonna have to manage that calf type of thing. But the other thing is Ricky Rubio, man. Every time we're talking on here, I'm just like, fucking Rubio, man. If he wasn't in this team, if it was like you get somebody else like Booker, where just a guy who comes off the bench, but at the same time, he's kind of something that's made him tick a little bit as well.
Is there a Ricky Rubio Chris Paul swap?
Ooh, now you're talking. But then the salaries don't really line up.
Salaries don't line up. Rubio's on 2 years, 50 mil.
Yeah, but then they're going to have to get rid of a lot of their team then to try and fit Chris Paul in.
No, they're not. They're way under the salary cap. Booker's the only one that's getting paid anything, really.
That's true. He is on the is he rookie max extension?
Rookie max extension. Other than that, they're not. They're probably under the cap by a fair bit.
I'm googling it. Keep talking to me about this, Chris. But I'm intrigued. You've tickled my.
You're intrigued. Look, you get a scoring facilitator who can give you some flop action, but also is that crunch time guy. Rubio's just not crunch enough for me. I don't think. So
I think, yeah, man, that experience thing makes so much sense. and you get a more traditional point guard that can score in other ways.
Yeah. So do they go all in now and go, hey, we actually might make the finals this year, might make the playoffs? Do we just do a straight Rubio for Chris Paul trade, potentially a second round pick? Because OKC get a pick and they also get 42 million off their books, and they get Rubio's, which is 2 years, have him for 2 years as part of the rebuild. And then, the Phoenix kind of get a right now player. Let's make the playoffs. We kind of got a team to do this. I don't know. That's just my thought.
If you can see my eyes darting around the screen, I'm on the ESPN trade machine at the moment. I don't really know how to use it. They've got 11 million in cap space. Tyler Johnson's 1 year, 20 million, but it's expiring, so I don't think you can trade him because he's expiring.
It's an expiring deal.
So how can we get to 38 mil?
30. We'll just pay luxury tax, 2 million on luxury.
No, I think because it's a trade, you have to trade. Like, you have to trade assets to make that. That's actually one of the problems really with this Phoenix roster. They got a lot of rookies, had a lot of guys on a lot of low money. So I've noticed that some of these teams like have to take a 2 or 3 year hit of just, you got a bunch of rookies. It's kind of like the Philly type of thing where they had to take like a 2-3 year hit of, you've got a lot of rookies and not much cap flexibility to throw in big guys. It's not really till now where they got Jimmy Butler, they got rid of Fultz and a couple of, and then that was when they had the trade piece to trade for Harris. But I like this, man. I like this Chris Paul for somehow we got to make it happen, not lose too much of this Phoenix team. We'll move on to number 6 in the West at the moment, 11-6, Houston Rockets. What do we got for the Rockets? Unwatchable trash.
I don't like watching it, but the Westbrook-Harden combo kind of works.
I thought that at the start of the season. I'm like, this is going to work, man. Because although I think, I can't remember who they played the other day that I was watching. Westbrook took this really, really awful last shot of the game. It was just like, why is Westbrook taking shots at the end of this game? Like, what the hell are you doing? I can't think of who it was against, but maybe the Jazz or something like that. I'm just going to quickly look that up. By the way, if you're an NBL fan, the Hawks have just come back in the game went to overtime. And
the Types won.
The Hawks are now in front. LaMelo Ball, everyone out there. Now the Types single-handedly.
Has he hit the triple-double yet?
Probably. It's overtime. The Mavericks, that's right. They lost to the Clippers. Sorry, the Clips. At the end of that Clips game, they just took this really bad, like Westbrook just took this really bad 3 with about 10 seconds to go for absolutely no reason. And it's just the most Westbrookian thing you've ever seen, You're just like, if you want to dial up someone who's going to take a bad shot at the end of the game, you're just like, Russell Westbrook, number 1 draft pick on taking bad shots at the end of games. What can we overreact on in Houston? Man, they just slip. I don't think there's enough for them to slip out.
Nah, they're not slipping out. Look, my overreaction is they make the conference final. That's an overreaction.
Really?
Yeah, I think that the Clippers or the Lakers knocked them off well before that. So my overreaction is that they made the conference finals.
So surely that's what they're favored to do. Make conference final. Well, that's their target. At least conference final with a shot at the finals. You reckon that's their target?
That's their target. I just don't think they can do it. My overreaction.
I don't know, man. It ties into, if you look at the teams above them, I don't think the Jazz are really legit. We'll get onto the Jazz after this. But this Dallas team, man, if we're just going to sneak a backdoor overreaction on the Rockets saying the Mavs, man.
Backdoor reaction is Luka wins MVP.
MVP, ooh. Not yet. We'll get to that. But I don't know, man. This Rockets team, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Tucker's injured, so I mean,
is he injured now?
Yeah. There's a couple of pieces out. It was Eric Gordon. I can't tell.
Eric Gordon, yeah, they look exactly the same.
Chubb brothers, yeah. Can't tell the Chubb brothers.
I don't know. What else have they got on their roster really besides Westbrook and Harden? Because that's one of the very few teams where you're just like, yeah, if Harden's playing and that dude's going to take like 60% of the shots basically, or 30. I think his usage is like 30% or something crazy like that.
I think it was one of 18 today from beyond the arc.
It's just so shameless, man. They got Tyson Chandler. I forgot about that. And Ben McLemore. Jesus.
Yeah, their deep bench is
Cephalosha and Gerald Green's injured, I think, for the season. That's a pretty big loss for them. He's quite a good hustle guy off the bench.
I do see them signing either J.R. Smith or Jamal Crawford as an extra scorer potentially.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout. I think they might. Daniel House, is he still there?
Yeah.
He's not on this depth sheet, so he must be.
Oh wait, is he? No, I thought he is.
Yeah, I thought he did. I thought he signed like an 11 million professional basketball at Houston Rockets. Yeah, 11.1 million extension, 3 year. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we got for the Houston. They're just unwatchable, and the less we talk about them, the better, really, in my opinion.
Dude,
move to the Jazz. What do we got for the Jazz, man? After my crazy 660 win, just ejaculation is the best way to describe that one. Jesus, that was just embarrassing.
My overreaction for the Jazz is Dante Exum takes Mike Conley's starting point guard role.
Ooh, that's a bit outrageous. That's a good one though. I like it. What are Joe Ingles traded in the second half of the season?
Yeah, we've got to talk about Joe Ingles on Wednesday.
Man.
I think we need to have a conversation. We need to sit down with Joe and say, "Hey, what the fuck is going on here, Mr. Ingles?"
This bench role, I don't think suiting him, man.
Just
But everything about this Jazz roster, man, makes sense. Then you watch it, and everything about the Jazz, the way they play, you're just like, this doesn't really make sense. And then, like, sometimes they're doing really elite stuff where you're like, wow, this is awesome. But then sometimes you just like, just go back to the awesome stuff. Like, well, what is this? Like, what are you doing? And then, like, Schneider is not well known as a top tier coach. Yet he still has that reputation of like he's a sneaky underrated coach, man. He's a really good coach. But at the same time, it's like where this team's at from last year is just a bit. Don't know if it's that great, you know.
Yeah, you'd worry if they look top six between 6 and 8. They finish. I don't think they go on at a 650 plus win rate for the season.
Yeah, they're 68 at the moment, 11 and 5.
Yeah, I just don't think that's going to happen.
What about Donovan Mitchell, man? Can we overreact and say Donovan Mitchell?
He makes All-Star this year.
All-Star? I don't think that's an overreaction. I think that's fair because he's been playing at a pretty good, pretty high clip. They've won 3 of their last 3. 3 of their last 5. Bogdanovic makes an All-Star team. Is that an overreaction?
Yeah, that's an overreaction, I think.
He's kind of, man, we've said it before, he's kind of the right-handed Joe Ingles.
A little bit more of a pure scorer than Joe. Joe's a little bit more of that facilitator. Let's move on to the Mavs.
Man, let's just tuck it back in the pants. So you got Luka MVP overreaction?
I do. It's kind of just the numbers I watched the games and he's terrible on defense, but
this team kind of like has this weird grit that makes up for it.
Yeah, he is an elite scorer. Just absurd. The step back shots, absurd facilitation, and I mean rebounding is just like, yeah, we'll just give Luka triple double so he gets MVP. They just get out of his way for him to take the rebound. He's not really a rebounder, I would say. But yeah, Luka for MVP is my overreaction. And the Mavs finishing top 4. I don't think they will.
Yeah, that's mine. But the Mavs will finish with a home fight first round in the playoffs.
I think they'll put a stretch of L's. I think that you're probably looking at Houston to round out that top 4, and Mavs potentially 5th or 6th. But yeah, looking for MVP.
They got weird depth though, man. We've like the last 2 years we've kind of been like, you know. Yeah, okay, yeah, nice. Like, and then, whoa, what are you doing? And then, okay, yeah, nice. Like, we've never really been right. That's it. This is exactly what they're like. We got the like Luka plus the ball, and then shooters. You know, that makes sense. But Porzingis has quietly been not too bad. They're playing him power forward a lot with Dwight Powell. Finney-Smith's kind of fit in well, and then Hardaway Jr. off the bench. Brunson isn't a defensive liability, that kind of you'd look at him as a small guy and think that he's a liability. And then Kleber, Boban hasn't really played at all for them as well.
No broke off, no
And
party.
Seth Curry, Seth Curry.
Seth Curry.
And, it's just, it's weird. We'll have to come back to that one. But, yeah, Luka MVP is a good overreaction. I think Dallas in the top 4 with the home playoffs first round is a good overreaction. Who is up next? The LA Clippers. My overreaction is the Clippers finish under, like, in the bottom 4 without a home West
Ooh.
first round.
Yeah, okay. Their team is so stacked. I just don't see that happening. I just see, like, okay, Kawhi's load management goes out the window if they don't get a home final, kind of thing.
Yeah. It
That's
kind
what
of is going to go out of the window in the finals, really, isn't it?
Yeah, he'll play 7 games, but I mean, like, to get that home final, if they're sitting at 500 or 550 with 10 games to go, it's just going to be Kawhi and Paul George, Lou Williams, and Montrezl Harrell taking over.
Well,
They still play
500's like in danger of not making the playoffs at all.
Yeah, but like it was kind of that log jam last year around about that 550.
Yeah, true.
And then it was like 600. But I'd say that that if there's a log jam with 10 games to go, it's just the Kawhi and Paul George show. But you got to think postseason, those two, man. Oh.
I was gonna say, like, my
overreaction is they make the championship game. They make the championships. It's just you can't go past what Kawhi can do in the postseason.
But is that really an overreaction? Aren't they kind of expected to make the finals? Really?
But then there's the Lakers. The overreaction is because then there's the Lakers.
Yeah.
That's the overreaction. If there was no Lakers team, there wouldn't be an overreaction. It'd be just like, they've got to get through the Lakers.
My overreaction was going to be Paul George comes back and he's just shit. And it's like, oh, no, he's hamstringing him. This is terrible. But have you seen that crazy ski poles thing he's doing? Ski poles workouts? You're just getting like lightning in the background. That's hectic.
Yeah, that's storming.
Mad storm going on out there. Have you seen him like weird ski poles workout where he's like doing like lunges and stuff with the ski poles up high? Yeah. It's pretty hectic. That's what I need, man. My shoulders are in serious trouble as well. That was going to be mine. But, man, the Clippers, I don't know. The Clippers are going to just be another team where it's just like, we'll just turn it on in the finals, in the playoffs.
I think so.
Let's go up to another level. The Denver Nuggets?
My overreaction with the Denver Nuggets, it's they're barreled out in the first round of the playoffs.
Every year, every single year, that's yours.
Yeah. That team is just trash. Like, I don't understand how they put wins together. They're just trash.
Are you harboring a grudge because they call Ben Simmons shit?
No, it's just like you look at the team, it's like these people are nobodies. They go to other teams that somehow it works here, but they're just trash. Like Paul Millsap, it's like, who is this guy?
Yeah, Paul Millsap's so just streaky sometimes. Like some games I'll watch him and it's like, Paul Millsap, man, he's so old. And then some games you're just like, oh my God, Paul Millsap, like what are you doing, you maniac? Like he looks unstoppable. And then Jokic is the same. Like some games Jokic is just like, oh my God. And then some games you're just like, look at him just jogging up the court because he's so puffed out. But they somehow just still win games, man. It's weird.
Yeah. They're a good they're like Houston. They're a good regular season team. That's really what it comes down to. They're a good regular season team. But when that rotation shortens and, that defensive clamps, they just don't have the scoring facilitation options that a lot of the other elite teams do, like the Clippers, like Houston. They can't just put Jamal Murray on ISO the whole game and expect a win, where you could do that with Harden postseason and, potentially get a pretty easy win. So that's my overreaction, is they get barreled out in the first round.
Just pencil that in. We'll just pencil that into the spreadsheet for every single year that they're going to make the finals.
Yeah. All right, let's go on.
The Lakers, man. This is just, they look outrageous, man. I was not expecting this.
It's just the depth. It's them. It's the Celtics. It's Philly. It's the Bucks. It's the Clippers. It's the depth. Like one goes down.
It's Marble.
Doesn't matter. Not really.
But no. Sorry. So keep going.
No, just saying. If one goes down, doesn't matter. Not really.
Not really, man.
It's just Avery Bradley's there. Oh yeah, Rondo's there. Oh, Kuzma's just there. Oh yeah, it's just it just keeps going. It's the same as the Clippers. Like oh yeah, like Lou, um, Montrezl
Yeah.
Harrell's down. Ivan Zubac is there, or Landry Shamet.
Ivan Zubac. Isn't it
Can't,
like Ivica or something like that? Ivica Zubac.
whatever his name is. Zubac. We'll just call him Zubac.
Yeah, Zubat, like
Zubat.
Pokemon. But you look at this depth chart, like it's point guard LeBron James. It's crazy, man. Rondo, Quinn Cook, even Quinn Cook. I don't think he's been playing that much, but then like Caruso and Bradley. Then Bradley's playing shooting guard, and there's like Caruso, Danny Green, Caldwell Pope, Troy Daniels has even come off the bench a couple of times. Then Danny Green, a small forward, and then you got Caldwell Pope could play there. Kuzma, LeBron could even LeBron could just play 1 through 5, and it's like doesn't even matter.
Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee.
Yeah, Davis. It's like
And they haven't waived DeMarcus yet.
nah, but I don't think he's gonna play this. I think he's pretty much out for a while, isn't he? Didn't he like this full season? He's out for.
Could make a return about a month before the playoffs.
It's not gonna really matter though. Like it's like Anthony Davis. I think can win the MVP too. But he's just outrageous how good he is, man. Like you just kind of forget. Like he looks like a 7-footer. And then you look at how quick his turn of speed is, how quick like he can shoot jumpers, just one step. Most guys can't stay with him, and you're just like, holy shit! It's all falling into place for him. Especially after last season at the Pelicans, where we said at the start of the season was like, this is the Anthony Davis is out of here season, where it's all turns to shit, and Anthony Davis is like, see you later, have fun. But yeah, man, the Lakers, I think.
Overreaction
66
win
win
it all.
season. 66 win season.
That's crazy.
And then it's like LeBron James is back. Oh my god! But still, I do want to overreact, man. LeBron James looks like he is gassed, man. At the end of some of these games, like it's like the body, like his mind is trying to do some of these things, but the body isn't really 100% willing. And I've caught him a few times where like. He's just hulking around the court like, nah. And you can see it, and you're just like, man, your mental will is just,
Here's a good overreaction. He goes completely bald by the end of the season. Hello, Toby.
Completely bald, shaved, just
shaved,
bald, like Homer Shino.
The Kobe by the end of the
The
season.
Homer Shino Bolo head. Man, but this West, man. Do you wanna take this to a second episode?
Now let's just take it to the East. Go on.
East. We're gonna run through the East. We're 41 minutes in. Oh, wait, how many minutes in? We're 47 minutes in, so we've got 13 minutes. No, let's take it to a second episode.
All right.
We'll come back maybe after our next run of games that we do.
Okay.
For an East, and then the East will look a little bit different from the the dross just clearly sitting at the bottom. The East is all balanced. The dross sits at the bottom, and then
the East is very, very. It's got a lot of contrast in it. There's just some trash, and then there's some standouts, and it's going to be a lot of fighting in the middle. And you really can't say who's going to finish between 6 and 10. It's really up for grabs. It can be anyone getting down the line. But
yeah, we'll wrap this up. We got anything else? Anything else league wide you want to talk about while we're doing?
Not really.
Non-Aussies.
Pretty stock standard. Philly are winning. X was back in the league, which is good. Ingles has been playing shit. Paddy's quietly having a good season. A lot of G Leaguers. Shout out Isaac Humphries has been having excellent time for the Lakeland Magic. I definitely see him participating in the NBA pretty soon. I think he's in line for another couple of 10-day contracts coming down the end. He's been shooting the 3-ball really well. Dengadell's just offense just fallen off a cliff again in the G League, which is a bit of a worry. And McDowell White is deep bench in the G League. So, there's some other news this week as well. McCurmaker, who is cousins with Matermaker and Thonmaker, has declared for the NCCA. So
he'll play college.
He'll play. He wants to do one and done. And
how old is he? He's only like 17.
He's 17, turning 18. So next year will be college. And Josh Green's quietly putting together a pretty awesome year at Arizona, and it looks like his draft prospects have raised up into the high 20s from second round. So that's pretty good. But
Another high Aussie would be good for the league.
yeah, it'd be good for the Boomers too.
Mm.
Cool.
All right, we'll wrap it up there, and we'll come back. When are we going to do the next one? We could do games Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah, and then we'll do more the East overreactions maybe at the end of the week.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, take it easy, everyone. Peeps. We'll talk to you later.
See ya.